Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Marino Payan, and this is my essay or analysis on theme for English B by Langston Hughes. So this this story is about education, reflection, and racism. So racism is this phenomenon that happens when we start to discriminate human beings because of their their maybe the color of their skin, usually against black people. So we can see this uh, in this short story because the protagonist is constantly writing about this because of the the paper he has to write. So when it comes to education, remember that education is when we go maybe to school, usually to school, university, and maybe in some other context and places to learn. So that is the context, one of the contexts here, because he is in a class, he's he he is asked to write a paper, and that is the environment of the short story. And finally, it is about reflection because we see it is depicted that the students is writing about the truth for him. So he reflects, and it is kind of philosophy. There is a kind of philosophy in the story. So, in conclusion, I think that this story shows us the problems that Black people have when it comes to this context and discrimination. I mean, when they are at school and having those issues, even professors discriminate some students sometimes.
Yes.
The author wants to show us how to express ourselves, how to give us, he wants to give us like a different idea on this phenomenon. And in my opinion, it is a good short story. It fulfills with their objective because all of these things give us a message that we can learn and practice, and it is being practiced around the world nowadays because of the education, reflection, and all those things. That's my analysis.
Yes. Okay. Good. Um, I think I'm going to say it. Okay. The essay on the theme for English B by Langston Hughes. It is about a black guy who has to write about the class of his life and for an assignment for his class, English class. And I think, and he, in the letters, he expressed himself. He tried to express how he feels, and he expressed how education is, like Marina says, and how he's a black guy and how that um, matters about the environment of the school of the education. Maybe it's not. We know that it's not the same for in that times. Black guy uh, is, you know how the American tries or tell or talks or say or try about black guys. It's not the same, and he tried to express and how he feels, and I think he is like a loneliness because he's the only black guy in the class, and he tried to express how racism it is and how he feels about it, and he tried to tell to the world and using the assignment and try to tell, and he said that um, he can listen everyone and he doesn't feel like everyone listen to him, so I think he feel lonely, and and he tried to say and how the environment matters about his education and something like that, and he tells to his teacher and about he's an American like him, and to try, and he said he tried, I think he tried to tell to him that he's the same like him, like he likes works, read, and a lot of things like him, like the teacher. So he tries to be the same like the others. In my opinion, I think it is a good poem. He tried to express himself like everybody has to be, have to say, because not everybody can express like like we really feeling like that. So that's my opinion. Continue.
I can be the third one.
Okay, go.
Okay, my analysis on theme for English B by Langston Hughes. I think this poem is about racism, discrimination, inequity, and also has a little bit of social matters and social status. In the part that when it begins, that says to the teacher that he tells this 22 young man to write this, what he feels. I can say that, or I cannot say actually, but it's in my head, like circling around that. I don't know if he was the only one asked for that assignment because I mean that is my opinion, and that is kind of discriminating like person, like just having this situation with just one person. I don't know if happened with the other students, but since he was the only one, the only colored student in that college, that's what I can think. When it comes to social matters, we can see that he says he guides like us, or he guides himself in the writing paper, that he's like going like to Harlem, and then like to the Avenue, and then to St. Nicholas, and then to Street Y, and then like if we can see it like this way, he's like kind of in the high society in college because all these white people, and he just being the only one, and then just like coming down to Harlem, which is one of the poorest places in New York. So I can say that's about the social matters and social status. And when it comes to inequity and also discrimination, we can see that in the part that when he is comparing himself to the professor, is actually saying that that is American. Like it is American being like good to the other one in what I could see, and also that he says that he feels New York. Why I am saying this because I think that when a person is struggling in life, is more likely to notice when a good thing is better. I mean that the other thing in comparison what you have. For example, if I have a fan which is broken and I go to your house, Ruth, and you have like a really big fan which is really good, I am going to see that like I say like a really good thing, an amazing thing. But you will not be able to see it because you have your fan broken. I do. So he feels New York, and also I can say that New York feels him. I think he said that also. In my opinion, with this poem, I could say that actually he is having a really good point because he says that what is good for him, what is true for him, could not be true for the other person, and vice versa. Because actually, I don't know if you've heard about this theory about Einstein, which is everything is like is relative. What is it is? I mean, basically depending on one's people and one's person view could be different to the other one. That's it.
Okay, good.
That's my turn.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Team for English B. By Christopher. You know, that's kind of like I wrote in in my essay. Um, the poems, the Teens for English B, is written by Langston Hughes. It is like kind of a complicity of identity in a racist society. I mean, and the environment involves racism, identity, and racial tension. Reading this poem, people can see the reality around the world, especially in the U.S., which is the most racist countries ever, according according to me. Racism. Firstly, racism is known as a being tied up with the religious hypocrisy. The realistic about discriminatory environment that people live in. Identity indicate like the centrality of different establishments, particular racial difference in American. And third, like racial tension, um, coursing through the United States over racism and policing and likely target for adversity. Um, Finally, because I cannot speak too much, I'm in the car. Finally, to conclude, the theme for English V tells about a young boy who involves racism, identity, and racial tensions. As I told you, the themes for English V follows a boy who is able to resolve the dilemma by concluding that even though the people might not always like it, in my opinion, people can can bring or can handle the situation every single day around the world, but especially in the US, as I told you before. That's my
Okay,
say.
good. So, Renny or Manuel? Who wants? Renny, okay?
I can do it. Okay, so on the analysis on Theme for English B by Langston Hughes, this story is about this poem, I'm sorry, is about racism, youth, and also the difference of races. Yeah, on the first instance, I can say youth because he's a young boy, he's only 22 years old, and he's like starting to have responsibilities and all that because he's at the university and he's living practically alone in a city. on that age, usually we are unable to properly know what we're going to do and what we want to be. So that's one of the things that he reflects on the poem when he says that he doesn't know what is true to him. He doesn't know that we usually don't know what is true when we have that age, because we are like starting to get to know everything about life. So moving on, we have racism, because when he starts to write about what is true, the first thing that comes to his mind is racism. Why? Because he lives in a city, Harlem, that it has always been a city that there's a lot of black people, of colored people, and he was born there, and he was raised there, he studied there. So that was something that was true to him because he lived that all his life. So when he starts saying to the professor, to the instructor, that you're white, but I learn from you and you learn from me, and you have something of me and I have something of you, we can like understand that he's not only talking to the teacher, he's talking to the country. He's talking to America because America has always been a country very racist, and there has been always a lot of discrimination for black people. So we can understand that he's talking also to the country, because when he says, sometimes perhaps you don't want to be a part of me, that's very, very accurate when it comes to America, because sometimes America forgets that African Americans are Americans as well, and that African Americans have the same rights that white Americans and that all Americans have. So that's what I could understand on that part, that he was like expressing not only for his white instructor, but for America, the country as well, and for all the people that was racist. And there is still nowadays racist. And I also mentioned the difference of the races, because when he starts writing, he mentions that he doesn't know if it's easy, if it's simple. He doesn't know what is true because he's a colored boy in that university. He's the only colored boy in that university. When I say difference between races, I mean that white people have always been privileged, the privileged one, and black people have always been discriminated and all that. So when he starts saying that, he wants to express and to let us know that it's not easy to be him in that place, and that he doesn't know exactly if it's that simple to him to achieve and to transmit and to even write as her classmates are able to do it, because they are like that, they are privileged, they are white, and he is the only one that is colored. He is the only one that has suffered. He is the only one that had to actually work to achieve what he wanted to achieve. And that's why I think in general, the whole poem is about the difference of races, about racism, and about how lost you can feel and how you're like a blank space when you have that age, when you are so young and you are start living and you start learning about everything in life. And that's it.
Okay, who wants to continue? Manuel, okay, go ahead.
Me? Am I the only one
Yeah,
missing?
so be faster, or
Okay.
because
Well,
we don't
I
have too much.
well, I got something pretty brief to say on this. About my analysis for B English is that this point it is about the device and the similar things that people have, even though they are from different race. the device because he says things like I'm black and you're white, and the similar things because he says that he lies what people might lie regarding the race or skin color, and that's it.
That's it. In your opinion, what is your opinion about it?
I told you my opinion is about the point speaks about the racism and the division that uh, there is in between the American force.
Okay. Okay. So, Zuleika, it's your turn. Turn on. Yes. All right.
I'm gonna give like my opinions and also what I actually think about this poem. So I have to say that I really like it. So because for example, at the first time I have to be honest when I was reading I didn't like catch all the information. But after all, when I was like trying reading a more time, so I completely understand. I really like this poem because it was like a dramatic, distinctive, and also it was like very interesting to read in. Because when I started reading it, I was more interested in knowing what is actually going to happen. So actually, also I really like it because, for example, this poem. It was like because the professor told her student, their student, I'm sorry, to make an opinions or an assignments about it, what they actually think. So in order to spread themselves, in order to actually say the truth about what they think and what is actually true about them. So actually, I really like because that person that was actually the person that was her name was Harlem. The speaker name was Harlem, and that was in Columbia University in New York. So it was very interesting because, as the professor said, that her opinion have to be like true, and everything that he said have to be like very like true. So it say what it really happened to him. So it was that he was facing a situation, a little bit hard situation about her Columbia University because actually he was the only black person in the class, and he was strongly with that. So I really like this part. So also, as I can see here in my like summary and essay that I have written about it. So something that I have wrote, it was like the one of the three topics that they really mentioned about it, it was the race, the identity, and also the belonging. So this was basically the most important thing that they was like trying to say through this poem. Because for example, they don't say like in exactly word that it was about race, identity, or belonging. But when you start reading and analyzing this poem, you are gonna be like catching this information. And for me, it was actually very interesting. Let me see what I actually another thing that I can say. So I really like because he expressed himself. So he say actually the truth about it, what is actually happening to him, and it was like very good for him. Also, something that I didn't like about it, it was that at the end of the poem, it didn't say what actually happened, and I was like exploring or supposed to read like at the end of this poem, something like that. But I really like it for real.
Okay, good. I think it's okay, but where is the another angel? He didn't. He didn't the essay, right? The oral essay. I think he missing, but it's okay. That's all, and go to back to the another um, meeting. Okay, guys, we done.